Today we are checking out the very first Toyota Sienna and the current Toyota Sienna to see what has changed over the past 27 years. That's right, Case. This is the very first generation of Sienna, right?
It's a 1997, so the year that it came out, not only just the first generation, and this one belongs to Toyota Corporate. So this is a very low-mile museum piece Sienna, which is not a word or a group of words that I think people say often. Not many museum piece Siennas out there.
That's right, but in 2024, this vehicle is now approaching 30 years old. It's the same age as me, but in much better condition.
Well, and speaking of 30, this car is VIN number 30.
Oh my gosh.
It's the 30th Sienna ever.
Like 00030?
Yeah.
Dude, that's wild. But let's talk about the progression of the Sienna. So there have been many generations from 97 through 2024, and design-wise, there is not much to connect these two together. This car was very much a product of the 1990s, and we definitely see that in kind of this bubble look.
Yeah, it is. It's very round. It's very two-tone into 90s shades of paint. The wheels say 90s as much as anything. We've got these triangles that are semi-connected and a wheel cover in the center so you don't see the lugs, although that is an alloy. It's not a hubcap or anything. It says Sienna along the side, but to your point, it is. It's very round, it's very bubbly, it's looking like it's trying to be as aerodynamic as possible, and that's a sharp contrast from the new one.
Yeah, and speaking of that two-tone you brought up, the champagne on the muted gray is about as 97 as anything. I'm just surprised this one doesn't have the optional gold badge.
Oh, my favorite.
Yeah, but the new one has gotten a lot more aggressive, so it's a lot more angular. It's also quite a bit longer. It's just about 2 feet longer than the old one. The old one comes in at 190 inches. This one is just over 200 inches in total length.
Yeah, 204.
But look at the headlight design, right? It's super crispy. We've got these big points on both of these leading edges. We've got a very flat grille. We've got the hybrid Synergy drive because Sienna is now only available in hybrid configuration, which wasn't an option back in 97.
Yeah, so that has a 2.5 liter four-cylinder, 245 horsepower, whereas the old one has a 3 liter V6, old school, 194 horsepower, and then later on in the Siennas, they actually had variable valve timing as well.
Yeah, so this generation got an update in the early 2000s. But design Case, which one do you like more, the 97 or the new one?
You know, not that I think anyone is out there putting up posters of Siennas on their wall, but I actually think that the old one is aging in kind of a cool way, especially when you see it in this condition. Something I think we have to mention as well, because if we don't, someone will. That's the grille on the old one. Here, I'll put my hand up here by comparison, almost as tall as my hand. Yeah, the new one, slightly bigger grille.
Yeah, but look, I think in some ways, the biggest way the minivan has evolved is down to not only the powertrains, but also the drive configurations. So the old one, V6, front wheel drive. The new one, now all-wheel drive, right, with that rear electric motor on the back axle. So a lot more availability of all-wheel drive nowadays, and a lot better fuel economy too.
Inside of the old school Sienna, we have a very 90s Toyota interior. Reminds me a lot of the 100 series Land Cruiser that we used to have in my family. So we've got tan leather and tan plastics. It's very tan, but you have some cool things about this interior. One of my favorites is this pretty much completely flat floor that you have all the way through. So if I want to turn around and yell at some kids in the back seat, I've got all the space in the world that I need to do that. And then once they've learned their lesson, I can flip back around, I can put down my armrest, and I can finally breathe and relax. I also have a sunroof above me, which is pretty luxurious. I don't hate that. I've got my sunglasses holder for my very 90s looking shades. I've got a cup holder here along the side of the seat. In fact, not only do the front seats have that, but you'll see in a second the rear seats do as well. Got little nets, and we've got all kinds of cubbies trying to maximize the storage. So we've got even a cubby down here. We've got, of course, an ashtray up here. So it's a pretty usable space. Aside from that, It is a very simple interior. This one is in fantastic shape because, like we said, this is a museum piece that belongs to Toyota. It's pretty much unused. Very simple climate controls, as simple as it gets. Big buttons that are really easy to see, and then old school radio, all really cool stuff. Yeah, we got a cassette player too.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, luxury. This was the XLE version of the Sienna. However, if you didn't want to spend, in some cases, upwards of $30,000, stepping inside the new Toyota Sienna, first thing you're going to notice is that this interior is much more cockpit-like. You've got these individual compartments for both the driver and the passenger, which is very different than the old one, where it felt very van-like. This one got rid of the column shift. Now we've got this console shift here, which divides the interior a little bit, but you still have quite a bit of storage underneath because they have hollowed it out, which is a really nice touch. And then, of course, the tech differences between these two are nuts. So first of all, we've got our Qi wireless charger located up front and center there in the middle of the dashboard. 9-inch touchscreen display, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto all incorporated there. Dual zone automatic climate control with heated and ventilated seats, something that old Sienna could only dream of. We've got drive modes, an EV mode, and the fuel economy difference. That old Sienna had best in class fuel economy, 21 mpg on the highway. This one, bigger, heavier, does 36 mpg on the highway, 15 better. And then, of course, you got adaptive cruise control, lane centering, blind spot monitoring, all the collision alert stuff. So this car is fully loaded with technology. It also comes with a more premium price, $53,000 as configured in this XSE all-wheel drive case. Which interior do you like more?
Yeah, this one's better. I don't think there's any question.
No, this one is better.
I like the flat floor that's in the other one and no console, but the rest of this is much better.
Miles better. Opening up the dual doors in the old Sienna, what do we find, Case?
Big sliding doors with a huge opening like you would expect in any van. And also, pretty fun for the kids in the back seat. After you've yelled at them, they can grab your seat and they can make you pay for it because, yeah, there's a handle back here in case you need it. We also have cup holders on these back seats. The one in the seat that I'm sitting in is on the other side, but we've got those cup holders as well because there is no console here. And then, yeah, if you need to make your way into the very back row, it's easy to do. And a fair amount of space there. You can put 3 people back there. There are 3 seat belts. I think you'd be a little cramped trying to do that if you're an adult, but for kids, it would work. And that means you can pile tons of people back here. There's vents here in the ceiling for this row of passengers and even vents for the very last row. So they were thinking about being comfortable, and it's all pretty nice stuff. There's cup holders back there. There's even extra little cubbies. Lord knows what's going to be put in those by the kids that are riding in the back seat. And just a little bit of nice leather here, even on the side. So this is, for the time, pretty nice interior. One
thing which is cool, Case, I think if you pull that handle on the right side of the seat or left side, you might be able to recline that actual seat back.
Oh, the recline. I thought you were talking about scooting it. Oh, wow.
Dude.
It reclines a whole lot.
Check that out.
Until it hits the seat behind it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'd be comfortable.
Yeah, and then of course you can fold it up, and these seats do also slide forward. Yeah, I think rear seat space is actually okay back there.
Yeah.
Taller individuals are going to struggle maybe a little bit, but it's very usable for kids.
Yeah, for sure. It is also worth noting that these two are true captain's chairs. So we've got individual armrests for each side of the seat. And right now, Tommy and I are trying to figure out how to tumble these seats. Unlike everything else on this vehicle, it's not actually labeled. Oh, but there you go. Figured it out. And yeah, you got some little cup holders kind of things on there, which the very last seats have. How's the ingress getting into the rear?
No, it's not too bad. I think Toyota said this thing had like 8 cup holders in it, something like that. The challenge is only some of those cup holders are really usable because some of them are in the backs of the middle seats, which isn't great. One thing which is cool, Case, I'm going to try to demonstrate it on this seat. So you can fold them. There should be a little lever. Oh man, where is it? Here it is. Like that. And then I'm thinking, oh yes. Check that out. So
Yeah.
these seats also fold forward, and you can remove them altogether by doing that.
Yeah,
So-
which is pretty nice. I don't think that they're counting these as those 8 cup holders though, because there's these
yeah.
on these seats. There's the same thing on those back seats, so that alone would be 8.
Yeah.
But there's the fronts, these side ones, and these ones in the rear, so that's at least 6, 1 for each seat.
Well, the Motor Trend article I was reading was complaining about these being some of the 8, but I think you're right.
Yeah, because there's 8 of these, including the ones that are on the very backs of those seats.
Maybe they were saying these 8 are useless, but
Yeah, that's
look,
fair.
even in the 90s, your kids had plenty of cup holders to stash sticky Cheerios. One of the cool features on the new Sienna is you got kick sensors to open the door, and I want to talk about this rear seat because look at the legroom. 6 feet tall, dude, and I can barely touch the front seat, and that's also in my 6 foot tall driving position. Look at the space.
Yeah, well, I gotta vouch for the old one. At this seat position, you would be crushing the legs of the people behind you.
True, but you have like 3 and some feet worth of movement forward and backward here, which is nuts. We also have this over 11-inch display for rear seat entertainment, and we also have audio controls back here. I mean, it is borderline Rolls-Royce levels of comfort and luxury back here. It is that spacious. It's really cool. Plus, check this out. We also have USB-A and USB-C charging ports, which obviously wasn't a thing back in the day, but you also got a little 120 volt power plug there, and HDMI, so you can play your PS2.
Yeah, PS2, that's the newest one.
That's the newest one. But yeah, so comfortable rear seat, captain's chairs as well, a couple cup holders up front there, not built in the side of the seats, but you do have these little bottle holders.
Yeah, you got nets kind of like some of the seats on the old one had, and your vents are up here in the ceiling, just like they were on the old one. So who's to say that there isn't a nod to heritage in this vehicle?
So this seat does do this little tuck to get into the third row. Let's check this out back here. You got 4 cup holders in the back of this Sienna, I know. And pretty comfy. Look at these little itty bitty privacy shades.
Wow, yeah, so you've got privacy shades on the sliding doors as well, and all the way in the rear.
Who said there's not some 90s in here? Yeah, little headphone volume controls.
Oh.
Pretty nifty back here, Case. But yeah, overall, find it to be pretty comfy. You do have some recline on these seats too. So depending on how laid back you want to be, you can adjust the position. Overall, a really nice interior, a little bigger and more usable, but very dark. It's not that you don't have that nice tan glow.
It's true. In the trunk of the old school Sienna, we've got a pretty low lift-over height. And this trunk area is about level with the rest of the floor. If you want to give yourself some extra room, you can fold this down, you can tumble it forward, and then it's more out of your way, so that's going to greatly increase the amount of space that you have back here if you do it with both seats. And you can also remove these seats completely and store them in your garage, where you will forget about them until you sell this to somebody else.
Yeah, that's exactly right. One downside with this vehicle is even with the seats tumbled, they still take up quite a bit of space, whereas the new one has got a party trick for that. So, power lift gate in the new XSE. You can also do it with your foot, just kick it under the bumper. So, back seat in this vehicle and the trunk space in this vehicle. Interesting story. Look how deep, Case, the well is.
It is pretty impressive, and aside from that, there's even this cubby along the side where you could put more stuff.
But the downside of having such a deep well is no spare tire. The old one's got a spare.
That's true.
So this interior does something pretty cool. So if I pull this, I can fold that down and then pull this lever. Check that out. And actually, I think you can do it all with just one go. Yeah, you sure can, and one hand. And then I can take these little guys, cover up the scap, and now the rear seats are out of the way, and you've got that huge trunk space without the encumbrance of the third row.
Yeah, which is also pretty impressive. So I guess it's kind of a trade-off. I don't know if there's necessarily a clear winner between the two, because I like having a spare, but you do, of course, have to remove those seats to get the same amount of space.
Very true. Let me know what you guys think. Would you rather have more space or a spare tire? So, Case, between the two, very different vehicles. We've got the old school V6 front-wheel drive 4-speed, the new hybrid all-wheel drive ECVT Tech Monster. Which of the two are you more impressed with?
You know, I'm kind of a classic vehicle guy, and I've got a little bit of a soft spot for the old school Sienna. I love its simplicity, and I like the flat floor, the space, the design. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely cool to see where we came from, but I think if you look at the driving experience and combined with the additional space, the new one, it's got to be my clear winner. But we'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments, so drop us a comment, right, Case?
Oh yeah, and be sure to check out alltfl.com where you can see all the rest of our reporting.
We'll see you next time.